Lesson 4. Evaluate your current situation, financial position. Step 1. Determine your current financial situation. Today we are going to learn how to diagnose your current financial situation. The criteria of your doing well economically is the number of your wealth. For the beginning, you want to understand what is the worth of your family household. Well, you may say, my household worth is whatever I have. Yes, you're right, I agree with you. However, does it reflect the real economic value of your household? Look around. There are many people having fancy cars, watches, clothes, even money showing you in the bank. But do they have the worth of all these values? Let's take another case. If you have a house or car, but you didn't pay all amount for having it, it means you have a debt, right? Then what is the economic worth of your household? To find out this, we need to learn new terms. Please take a piece of paper, pen or pencil and write on the top, my asset. Asset is something we own or significantly control that has two properties. We can say how much it costs with our dollars, and we expect to use them for our living or receive economic benefits from it. There are many things that you may own, but you can't measure it with money. Life, family, relationship, and other high values that have no monetary cost. Fortunately, they are not part of these economic financial values. If you are starting to measure those and similar values financially, you should stop this course immediately. Easiest way to find out the value of the asset is to know how much you paid or going to pay in the future for this asset. Now let's look around. Put on that paper whatever belongs to us and we can remember how much we paid for it. For the first time, you don't need to judge. Just look around and put whatever you think is important for you that has value. I guess money comes first, right? You own your money, so write then cash, checks, money in the bank account, jewelry, gold, silver, diamonds, whatever. Credit cards? No, you don't own credit cards. Well, you own the plastic card that has some value, but did you pay for it? I guess no, so there is no value for it. What else? Food in storage, in refrigerator? Well, if you remember how much you paid, then you can put the number. $200? $300? You guess. Furniture, home tools, machines, equipment, gas stoves, refrigerator, coffee machine, etc. This is what you do in inception time. So put the number only if you remember, or estimate how much it would cost if you buy it now in that condition. Deliver home and install it. Car, vehicle, yes, doesn't matter for now. Put the name and number if you know. Shelter, yes. Home, again, doesn't matter you paid off it or not. Don't worry, put the number. Now, put another number next to the cost of your asset, which is time. How long we are going to use those assets? We can use days, weeks, months, years. By the way, it is your estimation. Nobody is going to check or audit you. What is important here to find out our so-called economic cycle to bind our status with. For the companies, usually those time cycles are estimated by months, quarter, semi-annual, and annual. For some industries, they may use even several years. For the household, usually it is good to bind it with your payroll check. Thus, we may have week, bi-week, month, and annual. Why annual? It is always good to have a New Year party and to see what happened during past year. However, it depends on efforts you want to spend on doing your accounting and values you get from it. I suggest to do it one or two times so we can see the pattern and then stick with month and year. So what we need to do? We need to group them. In order to group our assets, we are going to use three colors, say red, orange, and green. We want to cycle with the red marker the assets that will be consumed during my economic cycle, say 1 month. We do the same with orange for the assets we are going to use during a month, and we cycle the rest with the green color. Again, it doesn't matter would you actually use it for that period. The importance is that we have the intention to use or consume the asset and are capable to do it easily when we want. Now, we take a new piece of paper, fold it into two parts, put the assets on the top and put current and non-current. Current is the group of red and orange assets. We shall use them for 1 year and less. And non-current is the group of green assets, whatever is not current. Let's see, what do we have? Available cash is current assets because it can be used for current period if we want to. Consumables like soap, shampoo, and wholesale purchases can be used during the month and more, but not more than 1 year. House, tools, home equipment, vehicles are used for more than 1 year periods. Now sort them in the column assuming how quick they can be used from top to bottom. This is called liquidity. Available cash in hand, pocket, shelf, pillow, available cash in the bank, then food and consumables, tools, home equipment, vehicle, house. So we put the numbers right next to the assets. Putting all numbers together, we come up with the number of your total assets. What we got is the value of your total assets or gross worth. Now, what we want to know is how much I need to pay, not paid, but I need to pay for my assets. For this, we take a new paper and write my liabilities on top. Liability is actual debt you need to pay off. It has two properties as well. We know how much we need to pay back, and we expect economic benefits to outflow from our household. We may have personal obligation to our friends, kids, parents, loved ones, or for the one you respect much. As with assets, there are values that you can't measure with money. It means you can't treat them as your economic financial position. If you promised ever to buy a bicycle for your kids, you better peg it on your financial liability, seeing that you will never forget about your promise. Let's put all our financial obligations here. Credit cards, mortgages, lease agreements, any other debts. Then we add the actual amount of our debt next to the written items. As we did it with assets, we are going to use 3 colors to distinguish our liabilities by the liability term. We know that liabilities are not under our decision when and how to pay them. They are out of our control. Yes, of course, we can negotiate it, but at the end, we need to get approval from the lender, which is not that easy thing to do. In other words, we can't bind our liabilities with our payroll or income term and have to follow the lender's rule. That is why we shall use following grouping for our liabilities. Short term are our liabilities to pay for a month. During the month. We shall circle it with a red marker. Midterm is 1 year or less. We use the orange marker. And long term, more than 1 year, that is for green marker. Let's do it. Green cards, consumer debts are short term, red cycle. Special loans, credit lines for less than 1 year go to midterm, orange cycle. Mortgages, leases, other loans for more than 1 year go to long term, green cycle. It is worth to state again that we are taking only actual amount of loan, not our debt potential. For credit cards, we take actual amount, which is the amount of debt, not the amount that we can take. Having done our grouping, we can take a new paper, fold it to 3 parts, and put the liability items starting from the shortest to longest. Resuming it, we put the numbers right next to each liabilities, calculate the sum of those, and write the come-up number as total liabilities. Now we can find out our net worth, which is total asset minus total liabilities. As we can see, net worth of our household is the monetary value of our assets when all our liabilities are closed. We can say also it is the value of our assets when you paid all your debt. From this formula, we come to equilibrium or balance, which is total assets equals total liability plus net worth. Take a piece of paper and fold it. On the left side, put my assets. Then using the folding line as a table, write current and non-current. Do the similar for liabilities. My liabilities, short-term, mid-term, and long-term. On the last square, write net worth. Copy the names and numbers of your assets and liabilities from previous pages and the number of net worth we have calculated. The result is the balance sheet of our household. As we can see, we build balance sheet for particular moment. It is like shooting a photo and look at positions of each item for that moment. Using this analogy, we shall call asset, liabilities, and net worth as financial positions of our household. With this lesson, we have learned to recognize our asset liabilities. We learned how to assess them initially and group them within the frame. We learned to calculate the net worth of our household and build our initial balance sheet and defined the meaning of financial positions. In our next lesson, we are going to study the relationship between asset liabilities and the net worth. What is needed to increase the net worth? Stay with us.